Hey all, it's Mr. Lamar, Mr. Whitty here. We're going to be showing you what's going to be happening with this particular demonstration, and actually you getting to build something pretty awesome and test it against something that's even more awesome. So let's flip this around for Mr. Whitty, figure out what's going on.
All right, so what we're going to be doing this week is we are going to be building a toothpick house, as we would call it. So you can see here on our little thing, we used some marshmallows and some toothpicks and made a one-story house. That's one story on the ground and then a roof, okay? In this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving you guys toothpicks during this lab if you're in school. If you're out of school, you're going to be watching this video and kind of going through the steps with us, and we'll explain that in a minute. But what we're going to do is you're going to get time to construct at least two-story house. So it has to have 3 layers. In this case, you have a bottom layer, then you have the ceiling, and then you have the top of the roof. This is 3 total layers. You can have more than that depending on how many materials you get, but you are limited on the materials you have. That will be decided by myself or Mr. Lamar. That said, we also have right here what is called an earthquake table. This is what we're going to be using to test our objects. Now, for those of you that are at home, you're not going to have an earthquake table. However, if you ever see one of these, or if you ever try to do something like at home, you can build the object yourself, just like we did. You can shake it around a lot, toss it, see if it breaks, stuff like that, and we could do it that way. But in this case, this is going to be what's used in class. Now, when we go over this, like I said, you will have a chance to build your test pilot, as we will, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stick it onto the table, okay? Once we do this, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this device on. Usually this will require a couple of people holding this down, but just to kind of demonstrate, what we're going to do is when we turn it on, it shakes very slowly. And then as we increase the speed, it shakes even more and more. It makes a lot of noise, okay? Now, this is where we're going to get into how this works. Now, for this, if the house falls off of the platform, if it falls apart, let's say our house does, or vice versa, let's say that it falls over. That means it just flips, right? That means your house is done. So what we're aiming to do is build a house that supposedly, or a building, or whatever you build, into a format that doesn't tip, fall off of this, or vice versa, just fall apart, okay? So again, you can see here we have some cardboard sides. That may be a hint as to what this is going to do. We have the toothpicks and marshmallows. You may or may not have marshmallows next week when we do this, but for you guys at home, this is what we're using. And we're gonna see what happens with this house. Now, this was easily constructed. It's just a few toothpicks, a few marshmallows. Let's see what happens. Start the process. So as you can see, it's bouncing all over the place, but it's staying up. And then when we go up, so to turn it off so you can hear me, this is a failed house at this point. It could be that we're gonna take onto our little gauge here that turns this on. We'll see how many marks you can go over and your house is stable. The goal being that if you can get to the final mark, you have a pretty good idea of that your house is gonna be safe in an earthquake. If it falls over like ours just did at Mark 4, that might be a problem, okay? So we'll get to this this week. For those of you in class, you're gonna get to have a chance to mess with this. For those of you at home, please answer the questions below based on what you saw in this video to learn more about earthquakes and physics and how to build a house out of toothpicks. See you guys soon.